Well, hello and welcome to this week's very special episode of On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. I'm your host, Chris Green, Director of Network Expansion for Avoya Travel. And 2024 has certainly been a very busy year so far in leisure travel. And here at Avoya Travel, that normally means some record numbers. But what I'm kind of curious about today is how does the first part of the year really stack up to expectations? Are we as an industry feeling comfortable with our numbers? Well, today we hope to gain some great insight as we welcome back to the show Jeff Anderson, co-CEO of Avoya Travel, for an exclusive Avoya Insider segment. Jeff Anderson is fresh from hosting the top industry panel of the year, featuring numerous presidents of the top cruise lines in the world, and we're very excited to get a full recap of that major event. Plus, we're going to get Jeff's thoughts on just how he thinks 2024 is stacking up. What are his thoughts on this upcoming travel season? Plus, maybe we'll solicit some advice on what it takes to be a top travel advisor, because we continue to honor the amazing travel advisors that make up the Avoya network all month long. And we think Jeff might have a good handle on some of the traits that the best of the best always seem to possess. After our exclusive chat with Jeff Anderson, we'll wrap up the show with a preview of next week's guest, highlight promotions, the Avoya Travel Academy, Avoya resources, our social media, and we'll make sure that you have all the ways to stay in touch and start the process to affiliate with Avoya Travel. But now, the main event, our weekly one-on-one with a great member of our travel community. And today we're so excited to chat with the very top of the Avoya Travel ladder, whose family started Avoya Travel 55 plus years ago as a Hawaiian tour operator, brought the business to Southern California, and over the course of multiple generations has grown it to what it is today, the number one host in the industry and one of the most respected names in the travel industry overall, Avoya Travel. So please help me welcome our very special guest this week, co-CEO of Avoya Travel, Jeff Anderson. Jeff, so great to have you back for another visit to On Deck with Avoya.
Thank you, Chris. Man, it's exciting to be back. I'm like all jazzed up. Even like you get us all pumped up, even with your intro. And so super excited to be here today. It's a busy day, and as is every day, because when you love what you do, you find ways to kind of like say yes to everything, even though you shouldn't. So anyway, we got a great day ahead of us, and excited to be here.
Well, we're glad one of the yeses was for our program. We very much appreciate. Jeff, we featured you before, and I think most people are aware of your story, your family's history in the travel business. So I'm just going to get to the good stuff. Here we are. We're like 5+ months into 2024. Let me hear your thoughts on and impressions on the travel industry so far and Avoya Travel so far in 2024.
Yeah, look, it's been one of those years that everybody hopes for, where you believe that you've set up your shop the right way, and that customers are going to start showing up at that store, and they're going to knock on the door, and they're going to come in, and the bell's going to ring as they walk past the sensor. And we're so lucky because it's been ringing and ringing and ringing. And so far, so good. You know, it's an election year, which are always a bit interesting. People get a little bit nervous about what's going to happen. But so far, like, we're really encouraged about the way that the year has turned out. And there is fortunately a tremendous summer travel season right ahead of us. And so I know, like, on our side, we're thinking about like book dates all the time. And yet the customer's just thinking about travel date. And so it's like that most exciting time of the year when people are like going to the mall, and they got to get all their new outfits, and they got to have their look ready for their vacation. So it's like, I don't know, it's just kind of like the coolest time of year.
As a follow-up, what are some of the exciting things that you foresee the rest of 2024? And are there any problem spots? I know you kind of talked the election, but maybe that's not going to be as big a shock. I mean, I don't think anybody's surprised at who's going to be the top two people for both parties, right? So what are maybe some of the problem spots on top of that maybe we should be keeping an eye out on?
Every 4 years, we see this lull that occurs during the election, like the presidential election cycle here in the US. And that means ultimately that people start getting a little bit nervous. They're not really sure who's going to win. And that uncertainty usually causes people to like kind of pull back a little bit of their spending. And vacations, okay, I know people still say it's like discretionary spend, I think that we all kind of learned in the pandemic that it's less and less discretionary, as we once may have called it. Like we need time off, and so we're watching the election. There's not much we can do, right? And so like most industries, we just kind of hang out. Uh, we do our very best to stay engaged with our closest customers. It's an important time where people are just kind of looking to know we're going to make it through this one, uh, just like we always have. I know a lot of people get all riled up, and I'm sure there will be things said that that maybe get people a little bit warm around the collar. But let's be real. We live in an amazing country. I still think, despite some of our flaws, we're the best country in the world. And I really think that there's this very, very big world that we all want to go out and explore. And the nature of that, I think, will persist through the end of the year. But we'll see a little bit of a pullback in Q3, late Q3, early Q4. But we'll be good.
Last summer, one of the things that was a little bit of an industry challenge was the airlines were stretched about as thin as they possibly could be, right? I mean, it's all great to talk about everybody wanting to go on a cruise or a tour or a land package, but getting from point A to point B is still like part of that whole ordeal. Are you worried about 2024, or do you think the airlines have kind of taken account of what happened last year and are ready to apply some new logistics for this year?
Yeah, I'm gonna look for as much wood as possible. I'll knock on the back wall there. Look, I last month had the privilege of flying to Greece for a few days, and then from Greece I flew to the south of France, hung out with a bunch of our independent agencies on an amazing Avalon Waterways cruise, and had a great time exploring the south of France. From there, I took the train up to Paris, flew home for a night, then flew to Hawaii the next day, and then was home for a couple of days after Hawaii, then flew to Florida. Every single flight was on time. Every single flight. And, maybe I got lucky, but that was like a month of travel. And I didn't have a single delay get in my way with some very complex schedules that I needed to fit into. Look, the pandemic is way behind us. I think we still feel a few remnants of it from time to time. But, outside of like major weather events, which nobody can control, it seems like the airlines have done a good job of getting ahead of the staffing challenges they experienced over the course of the last couple of years. But I think that the real key here for travelers is simple. Don't show up the day of the cruise. So if you're going on a cruise or a tour, don't show up the day of the cruise or tour. And it's for a couple of reasons. One, let's be like really practical. You don't want to miss it because of some weather delay somewhere totally unrelated to where you are that may have delayed a plane getting to you in the first place. But second of all, why wouldn't you want to explore the cities that you're first flying into or flying out of? And the reality of it is that, as we look around the map of where these cruises and tours start from, they are some of the most unbelievable places in the world. So for everything that we're doing now, for my own personal travel, like I want to be there a couple days early. What? Like it'd be crazy to miss out on the opportunity to explore some of those places. It was already a lot of work to like take the time off and like mentally process. I'm abandoning work for a few days. The kids are with me, or my wife is with me. Maybe I've abandoned my kids with my parents. And so I think that I'm pretty hopeful that that the airlines have figured things out from a logistical perspective.
So one of the things I really wanted to jump in today with you about was this panel that you hosted as part of CLIA's Cruise 360 event a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
First off, what an amazing honor to be asked to host a panel like that.
Yeah.
Explain to us a little bit about what the president's panel was and your involvement and how things went.
Yeah. So, all right. So every year, Cruise Line International Association, which is like what we all participate in, has their annual conference. It's usually down in South Florida. And every year in the opening general session, they bring on stage like the top brass from all the major cruise lines. And I've had the privilege of like sitting in the audience for like almost 20 years. And every time you're like, oh, that person's super cool, or whoa, I never thought of that, or man, I want to work with them more. And about a year ago, I got a call saying, "Hey Jeff, do you wanna host and moderate this year's president's panel?" And so of course I was like, "Heck yeah! Like that sounds like the coolest thing ever." So yeah, it was a ton of fun.
Everybody that I spoke with said you did an amazing job. Your energy was off the charts, but not too far off the charts. So, was that a fun event for you? Was that a little bit nerve-wracking, making sure that you had the right list of questions and who you're going to ping pong things off of?
Yeah, I think that everybody has character flaws. One of my character flaws, and I mean this, like I think I have a character flaw that I don't really get nervous on stage. And so I don't mind being out in front of lots and lots of people. I think that at times, particularly like with the right audience, it's super energizing to me. And so I wasn't nervous about it. I guess I was like, I don't want to look like an idiot. Like, what if somebody says something? And because sometimes presidents and their egos can maybe get in the way of their better judgment in a moment. And but I was really clear in the prep with all the presidents to get ready for this. Like, we're just here to like have fun, look good. Uh, this is for the attendees, not for us. And so it was an honor to be up there, and truly, like all of the brand presidents, CEOs, they're people like we are. They've got families. Um, Sometimes those families are going really well, and sometimes there's kinks in the road. They've got very complex businesses. I think we can all acknowledge that there's a lot of weight that comes with those types of positions. And so it was just a real joy for me to be able to share the stage with those that I think are like the brightest minds in the cruise industry.
Give me a couple of big takeaways that you had from hosting that. Anything that any of the presidents or CEOs said that really surprised you or really stand out now, even a couple weeks later?
Yeah. Well, I started it because again, it's opening session. Most of the attendees are like their first time. This is kind of one of those like, I'm a travel agent and I sell cruises. Someday I'm going to go to this event. So like you put it on your profession. I want to do this thing. But I wanted to start out like these are people just like we are. And so I started out by asking what the teenage job that they held was, and like how did it influence them to who they are today. And it was just hilarious. Like some of them were like deep academics. One of the presidents answered like, I didn't have a job as a teenager. Like I just studied. And I was like, oh man, like I'm not that smart, like not even remotely close. So it's fun having like the ultra academic. And then you've got on the balance side of things, the guy, the CEO tossing tea bags out the window at people who are walking by during his job. And and everything in between. So it's just really, it was fun to hear their stories because they all started kind of the same way that we all do. But the big takeaway for me was that cruising is like firmly back, and it's tremendously desirable. And I think that going into the pandemic, the world and the media put a spotlight on cruising. The CDC put a spotlight on cruising. And I think that what we've seen over the course of the last couple of years, because the cruise rebound like was delayed, certainly from land. So what we've seen is not just like a sudden impulse of vacationers coming back to cruising, but it's like a very, very sustained and desirable thing. Net promoter scores, which is like a really common customer service metric, continue to improve across most of the brands. And so I think that like the resilience of the industry is super exciting, and they all have something different going on. It's remarkable, and I think that's why I like enjoy my line of work. Is I get to work with so many like radically different business models that may all be doing relatively like similar things, and we're all in the same industry together, but the customers demand that we pay attention to them, and they all want to work a little bit differently. And so there's a huge amount of room for all of us to create great experiences, and the cruise lines are doing just that.
Good stuff. Jeff Anderson, co-CEO of Avoya Travel, is our exclusive Avoya Insider today. Jeff, as you know, May is Travel Advisor Appreciation Month. It certainly doesn't take much for us to celebrate at Avoya Travel. But what does that job title mean to you, Travel Advisor, here in not only the Avoya network, but in 2024 in the industry at large?
Yeah, so ever since I started in this industry, and I again, like Chris said, I grew up in the industry, so like I'm a travel brat. So sorry. But look, like the world needs travel advisors. And whether you call yourself an advisor or an agent, it's the same thing. Doesn't matter to me. Doesn't matter to most people. I think advisor maybe sounds a little bit more astute in this day and age, but I think people so commonly understand the concept of what a travel agent is. And more importantly, they understand the value that we bring. Again, going back to COVID, it was absolute chaos. Nobody knew what was going on. Money was being held up in places that wasn't in the customer's pocket and wasn't in our pocket. And so going out and fighting to make sure that the suppliers did the right thing for travelers was really critical to us. When I meet people, let's just say I go to a social gathering, whether it's like at school or church or whatever, I always introduce myself as a travel agent or a travel advisor. I might throw in like I'm a third generation travel advisor. Now, I'll caveat that by also saying like, but don't ever book your vacation with me because I'm not good at that part, right? And so like, I've got a couple thousand friends who are really, really good at that part. But I think that it is one of the most estimated parts of the travel industry. In fact, many industries. I think if you look along like insurance and real estate, there's like countless professionals that help power industries. And travel advisors, I don't think get the credit that they deserve, but that's one of the reasons why I want to represent. I think being a travel advisor is tremendously important for people going on vacation. And I think that maybe like the most exciting thing is because of the challenges in the pandemic, the profession of being a travel advisor has really grown very significantly in terms of stature. People know that there's a lot of challenges that can happen, and you better have somebody who's got your back. And I also, love sharing with people, like being a travel advisor is not just like coming up with good vacation ideas, like that's part of it. But it's also knowing like, where do you find the right deal? So let's just say like, you know exactly what you want. There's still like a million different ways to buy the thing. So how do you know you're going to get the best deal? How do you know you're going to get the right room? Like, are you going on the right departure? Or are we like going to be cruising in a destination that is on its shoulder season? And so all of those little things add up to tremendous value to help people go on these vacations, which I think are just tremendously important for making our world a better place.
Jeff, let me put you on the spot for just a second, if you don't mind. You're the co-CEO of Avoya Travel alongside your brother, Michael Anderson. My job as the director of network expansion, of course, is to tell the story of Avoya Travel, our history, our future, what makes us amazing right now. So let me ask you, what do you think some of the game changers that we bring to the table are as Avoya Travel to those that are seeking and thinking about becoming the next generation of travel advisors and agents?
Yeah. So what's true when I started 25 years ago is still true today. The hardest thing to do as a travel advisor is to find customers. It's very expensive. You really have to be a go-getter. Uh, and and it's a unique skill set, but it's very expensive if you want to start like doing it on scale. You might be able to do it just for yourself. Most people actually still find that too difficult. But when you start to do it and say like, well, I want to have like a few employees, I want to do this, and and the complexity of finding customers is always the biggest challenge. The second piece, and I think that we solve that very well with our live leads and smart leads programs. The second piece is really like, how efficiently are you operating? And when I first started in this industry, I was doing like paid search from my dorm room. This was back like 2000, 2001, 2002. And so I figured out like, okay, I know how to generate demand. Then the question was like, how do we work uh, with people, not just in San Diego County where we were based at the time, but how are we going to do this like up in Orange County and Los Angeles County and Riverside County, and like then we're going to go through California and then we'll start heading east. And I think that what we recognized was in order for us to make this successful for as many people as possible, that we needed to build technology that was going to help facilitate a process that would create tremendous amount of success as easily as possible. Being a travel advisor is not easy. Like it's a lot of work. It's very satisfying work. And like I talked to our top producers a couple of days ago. And of course, like they're back in Europe again on another river cruise and just like living the life. Now they're working, but they have to because they travel like 3, 4, 5 months a year. But so they like legit, they have the best lifestyle. They got like billionaire lifestyle status. And so, I think it's like, how do we build a system that allows people to be like anywhere and everywhere and still be able to take care of the customers that are relying on them? And so I think that, if you look at lots of different industries and some of the most successful businesses that are out there, they've been able to create a system that just works really well. It works well for the staff. It works well for vendors. It works well for customers. And so it's like all over the spectrum, you have to have a system that makes you stronger and more efficient and better than what you would be doing if you just try to stitch everything together by yourself. So our system, Agent Power, like unquestionably, and I'm a pretty chill guy. It's the best software in our corner of the industry. And no, like it is. We've got people making more money using that system than virtually anywhere else that I've ever heard. And that's why we keep winning awards. That's why our agents keep winning awards. That's why customers repeat over and over and over again with our independent agencies. And so you got to have customers and you got to have the system. If you don't have like the process, you can do it. You'll just waste tons of time. And I've not met very many people that enjoy doing things the old way or doing things the slow way. I think most people enjoy the smart and fast way.
Jeff, what about personality traits? Because there has to be some traits that you see time and time again as you talk to the best of the best in the Avoya network that you think, you know what, that's just good advice to tell a new agent about. These are the things that you should kind of aspire to try to be.
Yeah. No, it's a great question, Chris. I think, I'll blend things a little bit here because like personality traits and skill set, I think they kind of go hand in hand. If you were to lay out like 100 of our top producers and just set them side by side, you'd see a wide variety of personalities. Some people are going to be the loudest person on the stage. Others are going to sit quietly and make a peep. They can be equally effective in the way that they are actually doing business. And so some of the traits that we look for here is like, are they an exceptional communicator? That's a generally true skill that if you have that gift, then sales is probably a good spot for you. Lots of types of roles, but sales is a great spot for great communicators. I would seldom say that there are poor communicators who are great on the sales side. And then, of course, there's like the service component of what a travel advisor has to be exceptional at. And to be good at service, you've got to be a great listener. You've got to be willing to stop interrupting, listen to the customer. You also need to be able to understand not just like what they're actually saying, but what you think they might be saying. So being inquisitive enough to ask questions that prompt better responses, particularly when you're working with a customer for the first time. Like, how do you know if the product they're asking for even is like appropriate for the type of vacation that they like taking? And so the dialogue back and forth, again, goes to communication, and like good soft skills go a very, very long way. But of course, there's also like, it's sales. So there's a tenacity and a super positive attitude. Like if you get down after something doesn't go your way, sales probably isn't right for you in the first place. There's better places for that personality, but I think that you got to be tenacious. You got to be resilient. You have to be convinced in your own mind that what you're doing for this customer is not for you. It's actually for them. So like, you don't be selfish here. Like, this is their vacation, not yours. This is their money, not yours. And I think that if you can posture in a way like, how can I help this person maximize the value of their time and money? It's a super, super rewarding thing. So, there are traits and skills that like run the gamut of success. And I used to be surprised, like early in my career, I was like, whoa, I can't believe that person's like actually a top producer. And you sit down and you might have dinner with this person at a big event or something like that, and you walk away and you're like, all right, so I totally misjudged them. Like, they're one of the most charming, respectful, kind, courteous. Like, and not every customer fits with every advisor. It's, I'm sure that you've had your own experiences where it's like, that person just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Either like too intense or too dull. And so you go on and you find somebody else that matches your energy a little bit better. So, I think that if I could just end it with this thought of like, I think the personality trait and skill set like the top people have is like being a chameleon. Like, you have to adapt to the customer every single time. And that doesn't mean be untrue to yourself, because you're still going to be you. But you really got to be very, very adaptive to your surroundings.
Yeah, I think being a good listener, as you said, highlighted in there, really goes to that. And one of the things I've noticed, Jeff, in interviewing those in the net several years, they're just a genuinely nice group of people, right? Like
Yep.
they figured out that being genuine and actually caring is an amazing closing technique, and
Yeah.
good on them.
Yeah. No, it's look, like, okay, I may be a little bit biased, but like, why would you want to go work in any other industry than the one that like makes the world more accessible, that teaches people about art and culture and history and cuisine, and has the epic adventures with loved ones? Like, this just doesn't happen anywhere else. So of course it would attract people to it that are like, I'm all in on that career. Like, that industry is like right up my alley. And it does bring genuinely like incredible people. We're not selling something here that that people are going to regret. Like, this is what dreams are made of. And so it's it's a lot of responsibility from that perspective, but it's also super life-giving.
For sure. Jeff, before we wrap up today, I wanted to give you an open forum to maybe discuss anything that you think is important that maybe we haven't touched on yet today.
Yeah. It's a great question. I think that as we continue to watch the industry change, and we think about what travelers are demanding, travelers, we kind of have a saying here that like travelers vote with their wallet. And I think that what we're starting to see more and more is that travelers are looking for more hands-on experience from the very start of their vacation planning process all the way through the end. Artificial intelligence, and we've all become at least like peripherally aware of generative AI, but it's going to change our world like very, very substantially. So as we think about the future and what's coming soon, one of the most important skill sets is like, how do you master AI? And I actually think that salespeople who are like good at prompting humans for responses are actually like pretty well set up to use generative AI, as long as like somebody is willing to help them learn. But then the most important thing becomes like, what data set are you operating off of? And I think this is where Avoya has a strategic advantage that none of our competitors have, which is we've been working for decades in a software system that's been capturing immense amounts of data from both travelers and travel advisors in ways that will superpower our advisors going forward and the travelers. And so there's nothing now, but generative AI is here. And this is one of those, like, it's gonna change the world. And it's gonna change the world substantially faster than any other technology that we've ever seen in human history. And so we have all got to like lean into this thing, even if it's uncomfortable, even if we think that there's going to be people who don't like AI. The reality of it is it's going to be, powering civilization. And so then it's like, okay, powering it with what information? We're very excited to have plenty of that data. And then really just kind of like building out expressions for our independent advisors, for our suppliers, our travelers, to be able to leverage all of these like brilliant ideas that are happening around the Avoya platform. And really, again, it's just to enhance and supercharge the experience. So what does that ultimately look like? Well, like AI is going to be our best friend. It's going to do like a huge amount of lifting for us, which is super exciting. What does that mean? It probably means a little bit more free time, which I might selfishly say, like, I could use a little bit more of that. And ultimately what it means is like just more production, faster and easier. And if you think about like the horse and buggy versus the automobile, I think this is one of those scenarios where it can be a little bit scary because we've always used a horse and buggy. But the reality of it is that we've successfully traversed this challenge with the internet. Not everybody did. That was in the travel industry 25 years ago, is still around. Like, most are not. Certainly on the supply side they are, but on the travel advisor side, most have gone. So I think the same thing is going to happen here, but maybe a bit quicker. And so aligning with the proper technology, which is founded on the proper data, is really going to be the key going forward. And as AI becomes more and more prevalent in the world around us, why wouldn't we want to have that as the best tool in the toolkit? So I think that's the big change coming.
But you understand why people like myself are both thrilled beyond anything and scared at the same time about what it all means. Like, will we be able to distinguish between what's real and fake, I guess, is what I worry about.
Look, there's stuff where I like start to brainstorm or fantasize on what the world is going to become. And I'm like, oh, this is like kind of scary. Like, I want to be able to like touch and like see that, like, Chris, are you a real human, Chris? Like, you're very polished. Okay. Is that even real? And now, of course, they're like adding into these AI voices, like where you will insert an or kind of an awkward pause into the script automatically. So yeah, look, I think there's some scary stuff here. I think that ultimately, you know, none of this gets powered without electricity, and I think there's probably ways for humans to find an electric plug to pull. But you know, I think that again, it's going to be a tremendous equalizer for all of civilization. I think it'll help lift people out of poverty that have no opportunity to compete otherwise. And so I think that there's far, far better days ahead of us. And yeah, are there going to be some challenges? Of course. But like we said during the pandemic, like one of the founding principles that we were operating off of was embrace the change. Like it's here. There's nothing you can do about it. So embrace it. And we found that that's a really good way to get through any of the challenges that have gotten in the way of our family over the course of the last, this is actually, we're hitting the 60th anniversary this year of the Anderson family being in travel. And so it's, we've seen a crisis or two and seen an invention or two. We don't have to mail things anymore. Like, man, fax machines were going to be a big deal. Oh my gosh, fax machines. We like think about the world, right? And now we have faxes. And then, oh my gosh, pagers. Like you could be anywhere and find out that somebody was trying to reach you. Like mind blowing. So anyway, I think AI is here. It's going to be way more profound than the fax machine and the pager. But we all adapted. We all adapted and embrace the change. Life is going to be way better if we just like sit down. And I guess that's what I would encourage people. Like sit down legit for like 3 or 4 hours and intentionally go like train yourself on generative AI. There's a lot of different ones out there that are free. And just start practicing prompting. And you'll find like, oh, wait, this is actually pretty easy. And oh my gosh, the thing that I used to do that took like 2 hours, I literally just got done in 3 minutes. It's really profound here. So yeah, can it be scary? Do we know where we all fit into this new world? I don't think any of us know that. But you know, I'd rather be in like the informed majority or maybe informed minority about where this is going. But I'll tell you what's most exciting for me is like, okay, fine. AI takes over the world and like robots are everywhere. And I'm like, well, what are humans going to be around for? Like organic matter still has tremendous value to machines. Okay. So here's my theory. We're all going to be fine. They're not going to like Terminator us or something like that. We're all going to be fine. And then we're all going to be like, well, what are you doing tomorrow? Well, I don't know. Like my machine is like washing my floor and washing my car, the autonomous car, of course. And like my meals are being prepared for me. So like, what am I going to do? The answer is I'm going on vacation. Like maybe life becomes a perpetual vacation. Now, I do think people need and find meaning in work. And so I think that's a really important concept here. But like in Jeff's dream scenario, I'm like, we're in the best industry ever. Like AI puts us and like, let's get all like taking care of all of us. Oh man, humanity's going to have it good. So anyway, that's where my brain goes. That I think that even though there are going to be some complexities along the way, and probably some stuff that we're like, oh, we saw that in a movie, like, but I am very, very hopeful, and this is why I think we all ought to learn. I think a lot about our kids. I've got a college student and a high school student, and I'm like, oh, they better be learning AI right now. They're at the prime of being devious enough to say, like, how can I hack my way into getting a 6-hour paper done in 15 minutes? So anyway, lots of ethical things to debate here, but I'm very robust on where travel as an industry and humanity as a whole sit with this awesome thing that we're all learning.
So that sets me up for the final question. It's your third time here at On Deck with Avoya. We asked you this back in 2021, I think, the fall, the first time you were on. So I'm wondering kind of how your thought process has changed, but the question remains the same. Are you excited about the future of leisure travel and why?
Dude, this is like the coolest, like I said, this is just the coolest industry ever. The people are amazing. Every time that I travel and I bring somebody with me, they're like, man, these people are awesome. Like the people that you work with, the people you interact with, like they're awesome. And like I said earlier, like, of course they are. Like we've got tremendous job satisfaction on the virtue of what we get to do and who we get to work with every day. So like I'm super excited about the future. I think that leisure travel is going to continue to get more personalized because AI will help all of us do that better than ever. I think that people will be vacationing together, like group vacations. I think are going to be an increasingly growing trend because people like going to strange foreign lands and sharing those experiences with the people they meet there, as well as people from back home. And so super charged up on the leisure industry. And I'm very, very confident that for the direction of our culture and humanity in general, there's nothing more valuable than sitting down and learning from each other. And I think that's exactly what travel lets you do. Sometimes that learning is a really steep uphill climb, tethered with ropes, or maybe you're going down a glacier, maybe you're going up a glacier, like legit. Like that's what we get to help people do. Like how cool is that? Helicopters like flying around Dubai, like man-made, islands. Who gets to do that? And so no, I think leisure travel is just on still like the early days of how it's going to help connect societies and become an increasingly important part of everybody's days, weeks, months, years, because it's that powerful and that meaningful to everyone.
Jeff Anderson, everyone, co-CEO of Avoya Travel and our featured Avoya Insider guest this week. Jeff, thanks again for your time and that amazing conversation.
Love it. Thanks for having me, Chris.
Absolutely. Next week, we continue to honor top travel advisors in the Avoya Network when we feature Michael Bray, owner of Braycation Travel LLC, an independent agency in the Avoya Network, as part of our ongoing Travel Advisor Appreciation Month. We do want to take a second to touch base on our ongoing military promotion. Certainly proud of that. $100 off the affiliation of both either the Avoya Travel Academy or to affiliate with the Avoya Network. And speaking of the Academy, wow, that is just red hot. Continues to do amazing things, helping people get into this industry, set that right ground floor so that the rest of their journey can be really fruitful. AvoyaNetwork.com is the best place to get that information. But again, amazing packages going on right there. I always say, think like a pro, right? Because once through the Academy is new to the industry, then you can take advantage of the resources that are offered by Avoya Travel. As Jeff highlighted earlier, agent power, the live leads, the turnkey marketing assets, professional development, and the education, everything that you need to really power up an amazing business available through the Avoya Network. Again, my team more than happy to provide all of those details for you. When you're out and about, you don't want to miss anything. So make sure you give us a like or a follow on our social media, and it continues to just grow and grow and grow. We're on TikTok and Pinterest now at Avoya Travel Network. Again, don't miss out on a beat. And you can always reach out and just, send me an email if you'd like at chris.green@avoyatravel.com. There's the phone number there. I always say avoyanetwork.com is the best place for information. Big thank you again to Jeff Anderson, our co-CEO, for that great conversation. To the best producer in the industry, Annabella, big thank you for a great job as always. Thank you to being part of On Deck with Avoya. Till next week, and we're here with Michael Bray. Have a great week, everyone.